Welcome back to the On Adventure podcast. I'm Josh Self, and I'll be your host. If you've listened to any of these conversations, you know that this is a podcast where we dive deep into why ordinary people do extraordinary and hard things. Today's conversation is really no different. I'm sitting down with someone who embodies grit, joy, resilience, and she has an unapologetic love for pushing her personal limits. You're going to meet Lisa Decker. She's an ultra endurance athlete from Houston who goes way beyond big miles. We explore how she found the trail and the ultra community, how she turned a major weight loss journey into fuel for even bigger challenges, and what was it like to take on the legendary Vol State 500K and actually enjoy it. We talk about community, courage, transformation, and why saying yes can change your life. It's honest and inspiring. It's packed with the kind of perspective that reminds us why we chase hard things in the first place. So let's get into it. Okay. Lisa Decker, welcome to the On Adventure podcast. You come with lots of kudos and I don't know what other adjective to use, but you were very highly spoken of by Vincent, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. We will see where it goes, but thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So for folks listening, who's Lisa? Where are you? And what do you do with your daytime hours?
So I live in the Houston, Texas area, and been a pharmacy technician for about 20 years. So that's where I spend my free time. But I also have an amazing boss who gives me time off to do my adventures that I like to do. I call them my therapy sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what I do. I do a pharmacy tech and go out and like to spend time outside.
What kind of hours do you work as a pharmacy tech? Is it, 9 to 5, or are they more
They change. They change. I work about every other weekend, so I kind of schedule my free time and my free weekends doing other things. And like I randomly had today off, and I work like a half day tomorrow. Like our schedule changes, but a lot of time it's 9 to 7. I'm working about 10 hours a day just on my feet, just grinding it out.
That's long hours, yeah.
I use that as my training, actually. It's my time on feet.
Okay. And how do you fit in the training for some of the longer distance stuff that you do with hours that aren't necessarily set from day to day?
Either early in the morning, or I just pick my day off to go out and get some miles in. I'm actually not really a big runner. I do more walking and rucking as my training. So I just kind of plan a day to go out for several hours and do a nice long walk somewhere to get some training in.
The race, we'll talk about the races that you do. Is that generally your mode within the race to take more of a trek through the race rather than running it as fast and long as you can?
Definitely. I spent pretty much most of my ultra running races as walking and hiking. Running never really came that easy to me, so I continue to use that. So I prefer to take my time and enjoy the race and have fun.
Enjoy the experience of it.
Enjoy the experience, 100%.
Yeah, so I think what got us connected through Vincent, my last guest, is most recently your overlap with him at the Vol State 500K race. And the only thing he told me was Lisa did it right. He didn't tell me anything else other than you had a group of people, I believe, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but you had a crew that was with you and that you guys had a lot of fun. But tell me a little bit about what that experience is like.
Every time I saw him, he did say that, but I went into Vol State alone. Like I didn't know this crew of people that he talked about. The friend that actually talked me into doing the race with him, or just being there together, ended up not being able to do the race. And I almost backed out myself, honestly. I had my own securities and being like, I'm not going to know anybody. I don't want to do it by myself. And just through coincidence, I teamed up with one person as soon as we stepped off the ferry. And then the next day, another couple that were together, we ended up, the four of us, just syncing up. The vibes were there. We were having a good time. One of the girls, she was my roommate the night before. We get kind of hooked up at a hotel and they assign roommates to us, which is kind of fun to connect that way. And then we ended up with one more person. So we ended up with like a team of 5, which is
Oh,
very
wow.
rare for a race like that.
But these were
And
all participants in the race?
these are all participants.
Okay.
And
But you guys just said, hey, let's do this together.
well, it didn't even start like that. We would just start walking together and then we never left each other, I guess. We were just having a good time. And like I said, the vibes were there. The conversations were amazing. We were all had a great time just laughing together. So every time we would come into an angel station, which is just kind of random pop-ups along the way, I would be leapfrogging with Vincent and he would every time we'd come in, he's like, "You're just doing this right. You're having fun. You're laughing. You're having a great time." And he did most of it, I think, by himself.
He
But
did, yeah.
we would sync up here and there and do a couple of miles or just be at an angel station together for a little while and get to chat. But it didn't I didn't go into the race knowing that's how that was going to happen. If I ended up going ahead and leaving them, wanting to do my own thing, my whole experience would have been completely different. So glad it happened, but it wasn't on purpose. We just happened to fall, sink in line together. And now we have a group chat that we talk with like every week still.
It's maintain friendships
Yeah,
even after the race. That's cool. Now
I love the
tell everyone what Vol State is now. And before I've interviewed a lot of people that have done a lot of endurance stuff. Before Vincent, I'd never heard of Vol State. Obviously, I know who Lazarus Lake is, and the
Mhm.
Barclay Marathon is very, very famous in Tennessee. But what is Vol State?
It is a 500-kilometer race across Tennessee, which for us Americans is 314 miles. It's very unique. They used to have where you can have a crew or you can be what they call it screwed, where you do the whole
Rude or
thing,
screwed?
screwed or screwed. But this year was the first year they completely got rid of crews. I wasn't planning on having one
Okay.
anyways. I wanted the whole experience, but you're pretty much what you're wearing, what you're carrying with you, and what you can purchase along the route is all you
That's
have.
it.
The route is predetermined and it's very strategic. A lot of people try to, because it's in July in Tennessee. It's
Very,
hot.
very hot and humid.
I live in Houston, Texas, and the heat I could handle. The humidity I think was worse
Hmm.
out there than Houston. If that was, I didn't think that was possible. So yeah, so you're just out on your own. A lot of people eventually kind of swap their days. They're doing miles overnight, resting during the day. We could never really nail that down. I think we would just move very slowly during the day and take long breaks, try to get to somewhere to rest. And then but you also have to plan to resupply. You're resupplying at gas stations and Dollar Generals and whatever is along the course for you. So if you get into a town after maybe 9 or 10 p.m., everything's closed.
Hmm.
So then you can't purchase anything. So sometimes we would say, okay, let's just hunker down and sleep here. We slept on park benches. We
Oh
slept
my
at some
gosh.
angel stations. We slept at a fire station. I think we got 2 hotels along the way, but I don't think it was worth it with 4 or 5 people. By the time you get showered and settled, you maybe get 90 minutes of sleep before we're like, "Okay, let's get back out on the road." So it was definitely a unique experience and getting to see pretty much a whole entire state on foot. The nickname or the website is called Vacation Without a Car, which is basically what it was. I took like 2 weeks off of work because you have 10 days to essentially do the course. So it was a nice 10-day vacation out there
In the middle of July in
in
Tennessee.
July in Tennessee, but
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
beautiful. You got to see everything on foot and the people there were amazing. That some people just didn't know what was going on and they would drive by and be like, "Here's some cold water." Like, I don't, we just saw you walking and we thought you needed a water. It was very cool to see the niceness of people out there.
Yeah. So it sounds like you got to experience some of the better part of humanity that
Definitely.
unfortunately doesn't get talked about all that often
Oh,
these days. But that's got to be reassuring to see that in firsthand that, yeah, people are still nice to each other for no good reason other than just being nice. So what was your biggest surprise about Ball State? Anything that happened along the way?
Ooh, I think it was just the connections that I made. I didn't know that I would meet the people that I did. Can't really think of any huge surprise. Just the whole
No
thing.
bears or
No bears. I had a skunk encounter,
okay.
but I think it smelled me and thought I was one of its own, and it took off.
You
The
smell
rest
worse than I do. Jeez.
you smell worse than I do. I'm gonna run away. No skunks. I think the worst encounters were maybe some of the cars. One of the nights, it was, I think, a Saturday night, so I think there may have been some drunk drivers possibly out on the road, and that definitely was a little nerve-wracking and kind of gave me some anxiety on the road, but once we got through that, everything was so amazing. And then we had people stopping and just handing us food and water, setting up canopies in their yards with chairs. One guy had a full-on stocked working fridge out in his front yard, stocked with
Oh
food
my
and water
gosh.
and anything. His brother, it was 5 in the morning we were there, and they came out with like bratwurst for us.
Oh my
We're almost like
gosh.
celebrities, honestly, going through some of these towns. It's
So
it's
some of these
pretty.
towns know that this race is
Yeah,
going on and that you're coming and
they do, yes.
okay.
But some people, they are like, they have no clue what's going on. They ask us, a lot of them ask us why we're doing this, and most of us were just like, just to do it. I just kind of wanted to. I've seen this race for several years and was like, I want to do that one day. I want to do that one day. And then finally, a day I was like, I just have to do it. I'm not holding back anymore. And I'm just going and doing everything.
Was there any point of the race where you felt like you were ready to tap out, like you were just too many miles or not?
No, I felt great the whole time. Magically, I had 0 foot issues. With a lot of people had really bad blisters or chafing. I had no issues. I wasn't sore. I honestly don't know how it happened, because the
Hmm.
next race I did kind of wrecked me. So this one definitely. And when I finished, I stayed with my sister who lives out in Tennessee, and I was like, "Where's the nearest trail? I'm ready to go do some more miles and more exploring before I go home." I felt really good. Didn't ever wanna tap out or anything, and
That's
had
amazing.
fun trying to, help everybody that was with me too, to make sure that we all wanted to make sure we all got to the finish together, and that's
Yeah.
something I enjoy doing during these, is making sure we're all gonna finish together.
Did anybody not finish?
Not in my crew. Some of us, we kinda ended up splitting up a little bit towards the end and had different finishes, but I did finish with 2 other people, so the 3 of us finished within, like, seconds. They nobody gets the same exact time. You have to have
Got to be
take your
different.
turn going and finishing, so but we all got to finish together, and we hung out afterwards for a little bit before going our separate ways, and we all live all across the US, so it's really cool to catch up on what everybody's doing.
Wow. So you alluded to this earlier. Did you have any trouble taking that much time off of work to fit something of this distance into your schedule?
I didn't. I mean, I submitted it and it got approved, kinda no questions asked, but I'm always worried of, we only have one other pharmacy technician at my store, so they had to find coverage for me, which isn't
Mm.
always easy to do, and I'm, very. I've been at that job for so long. I really wanna make sure that everything's covered and taken care of while I'm gone, but they were able to take care of it, and I was in negative PTO for a little bit, but I'm good now.
Made it back up.
I made it back up.
Now, but you were telling me earlier you're doing one of these endurance races at least once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that working with time off and how are you making that work?
Well, a lot of them I'm just take like a long weekend, like maybe a Friday through Sunday or a Friday through Monday, so that doesn't really interfere with my work. I could still get my hours back. I work usually 10-hour days, so, I'll come back from that and I'll work like Tuesday through Saturday or something, and that'll be my hours for the next week. So it does end up working in my favor that I can kind of pick and
A little bit of flexibility.
choose my flexibility.
Yeah. Now, the other question would be, why are you doing this? Right. I mean, some people that don't get endurance races, even people that like to stay fit here, 100 miles, 100K, whether you're running it, walking it, doing it in a boat, it doesn't matter. That's a long ways. Why do you keep doing this? What is it that keeps drawing you back, and what do you get out of it?
Definitely for me, it has been the community that I have found through this. I found the trail and ultra running community about 10 years ago. I think 2015 was my first
Okay.
trail race that I did. And I immediately felt like I belonged. Like I didn't feel like I ever belonged anywhere or
Mm,
had trouble fitting in with people. So when I found this community, I was like, man, they accept me. I mentioned before, but when we talked earlier, but I have had a 120-pound weight loss recently. And so when I started it, I was pretty obese. I was very slow. I was always last during the
mm.
races. Like they call it a DFL, dead freaking last, during a lot of these races. But I would pick and choose the ones that I knew I could finish in a time frame. Like I would go to events where they had several distances, up to 100 miles maybe. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something in the middle, like a 25K. And I could know I could walk the whole thing because the time limit gives me enough time to be able to walk the whole thing. So initially I wanted to do it to prove to myself that I could do this as a heavier person. I've had a lot of people like say, oh, I can never do that because of my weight. And I'm like, well, if I
Mm,
can, you can. So that was initially
that's
kind
cool.
of why I did it, to be with the community, to prove to myself that I can do it. And then I think it really helped with my mental toughness to push through the harder races when I did want to quit. And I have quit. I've had a lot of DNFs out there, so many DNFs, but you don't know if you can do it until you try.
Yeah. Is it, when you've had those, has it been physical issues or that have taken you off the course, or is it more just kind of mentally tapped out and ready to be done?
It's probably a combination of both. A lot of times just when I was heavier, my feet would swell and hurt so much from just being on them for so long. And so like I would just get in my head like, man, why am I doing this? This sucks. Like I could just be done and be sitting at the finish line and hanging out and laughing with everybody, because I would always end up by myself during
Mm,
these back then. And I think that's why now I'm doing a lot more, because I'm able to keep up with people and make connections and be able
I
to
gotcha.
talk with people and get to know them during the race instead of like when we're just hanging out afterwards and just kind
Yeah.
of talking about how the race went.
Well, I would agree, and I haven't personally done the volume of stuff that you've done, but there's something about the endurance community that's different. That the people that I interview say this over and over again, that it's the people that make getting through some of these difficulties doable, and it's the people that keep bringing you back. And it may not be, you're maybe not even seeing the same people and over again, but the people that you do run across are all cut from the same cloth, very interestingly. So I love the community also. I find it very interesting that that is a very clear and loud common thread through all these conversations that I'm having, no matter what the endurance feat is, no matter what the canvas is that someone's doing that in. Tell me, if you don't mind, tell me a little bit more about what it's like to do an endurance distance as someone that's overweight, and what, not just the getting through it, but what was your experience like in being around other people that are doing it at the same time? You said you were very well accepted, but maybe if you could say a little bit more about what that was like.
As an overweight person, you do get, I guess, judged a lot differently, and I never felt like I was being judged. Like I was always being encouraged and supported. And everybody wanted to see me finish. I wanted to
Mm,
see myself finish, but also like just my personality, like I wanted to help others finish too. So if someone was needing to walk for a little while and be at my pace because they're struggling, like I'd walk, of course, I'm just walking the whole time anyways and able to help them through that. But I don't know how different it is. Like you were out there 2 to 3 times longer than the person that like is winning the race, which I think is way harder than going out running as fast
Right.
as you can to win the race.
Yeah.
And I've had people tell me that, like I
Interesting.
have all over the spectrum of pace and speed and abilities, and I've had a lot of them say like, you're out here like I'm already been home and showered and I'm back to help support and encourage people, and you're still out here grinding it out. Like again, I think that's what helped, like the mental part of pushing through tough things is because I was just out there the whole, and I needed the whole entire time to finish most of these things.
Mm. Yeah, that is, it's a different mental fortitude. It's one kind of mental fortitude to red line and run as hard as you can to complete the distance, but to do it slower and much longer would be just as challenging. And I think you've alluded to this already, but the external support, it sounds like it has been very important to encourage you to continue on. One of the things you mentioned to me before we got on here is that as you got into endurance stuff 10 years or so ago, you got connected with a team. So tell me a little bit more about this team. Do you train with them? Do you race with them? What is that like?
Initially, it was probably a little longer than 10 years ago when I found Team RWB, that stands for Red, White, and Blue. They're a veteran and civilian organization. I'm a civilian, and I just loved their mission that they help veterans transition from military to civilian life through physical and social activities. So I really just jumped head on in with this club, and I ended up with a group of ladies that were all also in Team RWB doing a relay at a race called Habanero 100. It was the first year, and that's kind of how I got into the trail community. And they've also been big supporters at other events that I have now done every year. One of them being Snowdrop. I think Vince, that's one of the races that him and I have overlapped for the last several years. And so it just through them, like I've found a bunch of different races and continue to support them. A big supporter of, all veterans out there. So
Do you have military in your background?
not in mine. I have several family members that have served. My dad was in the Army, have a brother-in-law and a nephew now that's in the Navy. And so a lot of family members in the military.
That's a really cool mission for the team to help veterans integrate back in through sport, through endurance. And how big is the team?
It's actually nationwide, worldwide. There's
Let's see.
chapters in a lot of cities. So
Okay, so
Houston
this
has
is
a chapter.
enormous.
It isn't pretty enormous, yes.
Okay. And is it the kind of thing where you could go to just about any race and there may be someone from a different chapter that you can connect with within the team?
Definitely, and you can see, but they have Team RWB shirts. So I go to different cities and I'll see somebody and not know their name, but I'll just say awesome job, Eagle. So it kind of makes a little bit of connection that
Yeah.
way to find people in different. I've gone to different cities where there's been some kind of military base, so there's very big there. I've made some great friends that now live in all over the nation that I've met, maybe like in El Paso. El Paso has Fort Bliss, and I've made did a race there several years and made friends, and now they live all over. So it's nice to be able to connect with them when I get to travel.
That's cool. So you've been doing this for a while, and I'm thinking in my head kind of the progression of how you got into it is, someone that was overweight, not active, then you became active, then you were able to lose the weight and be even more active. What's the maybe what's been one of the low points for you with these pursuits along that 10-year period?
I think again it was not being able to keep up with my friends doing these events and being able to be out there with them. I would get very self-conscious and insecure when I would
Mm.
go on a trip with I have a group of friends that we go on one or two destination races a year. And the first one was in 2020 out to Oregon and Washington. We were going to go hike on Mount St. Helens because a
Oh,
race we were
cool.
doing got canceled. It was really cool, but I was struggling. I was having a hard time with the hikes, and I got really, really insecure, feeling like I was holding everybody back. So that's
Mm.
really been my low points of just feeling like, oh my God, they're judging me. Like I'm going too slow and they want to go
Yeah.
faster. They're waiting on me. And it really would I'm an overthinker. It really would get in my head, but
Yeah.
they're
Just
just like,
mental head trash.
yeah, the mental head trash. And so it's probably one of my lower points. But then since then, like getting over that and going on more trips with this group of friends and just proving that I can still, they want me there and I'm not slowing them down and I'm not going too slow. And now they feel like almost the opposite. They're like, man, we can't keep up with you now.
What, so how did you get yourself through that mental head trash? Are you somebody that like talks to themselves almost in a third person way, or what tools or techniques have you used to move through that?
Definitely, I talk to myself in my head a lot. I never really would listen to anything when I'm out there except for myself, which isn't always the best person to have
Right.
on the trails with. I don't know. I've had a lot of friends that have talked me through. It's taken a long time for me to feel open to talk about that weird head trash that I feel like
Hmm.
is just me and this community and the friends that I've made. The more you open up and talk to them about this stuff, you realize you're not the only one
Yeah, that's so
going
big.
through this. It's so big because you feel so alone sometimes. Like I'm the only
Yeah.
one that feels this way. I'm the only one that's thinking like this until you open up, or in my case, being around people that were open about their struggles made me feel better about my own struggles and being able to open up about mine. Because I'm like, okay, if that helped me, then maybe I should open up about the things that I've gone through and that are hard for me, and that might help the next person down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. I mean, some people get that in recovery meetings, other people get it in church. I think what you're describing is such a cool community that supports each other, even when you don't realize you're supporting each other, right? It's
Yeah.
just being another human connected to another human, and that portion of, oh, you too. I mean, that's a game changer for so many different people, just in life in general. Not to mention finishing a hard feat. And I've talked to a lot of people on in these interviews that have done a lot of very difficult things, and it's kind of one of a few things. It's either what somebody else is saying from an external standpoint to propel you forward and to ignore the head trash, or there's some sort of internal mechanism of a mantra or a thing that you just say over and over again, or even some people kind of have name the different voices in their head. And, oh, Fred's talking today, I'm going to tell Fred to shut up and sit down, and it's time for Susie to get. It sounds crazy to somebody that doesn't do anything of these distances, but I hear people say that all the time. It's what it takes. You do what it takes to get through it. So it sounds like you've had somewhat of a similar, both internal and external experience in getting through this.
Definitely.
So tell me a little bit about doing these endurance races once a month, or that's kind of the cadence that you mentioned earlier, that you've lost the weight, you've got more energy, you're ready to do stuff on a regular basis, and doing 100-mile or 100K once a month to most people seems uh,
Crazy.
un, undoable. Like, when do you even have time to rest and recover? But what is that like for you in planning those kind of things out?
It can be chaotic, but I do feel like I've seen all these races that I'm doing now in the past being like, I want to do that one day. I want to do that one day. I want to do that one day. And now I'm finally like, life's short and I'm have the ability and to do it now. I mean, some of them I still don't know if I'll be able to finish them, but I want to go have the experience. So now it just seems like all of them are coming at once where I'm like, I want to do this one. I want to do that one. And I'll have a friend say, hey, I'm signing up for this. And I'm a slightly impulsive person. So
Maybe a
um,
yes person to
maybe I'm definitely a yes person.
yeah.
So and I don't know how it works out. I have this next couple of months are definitely going to be very chaotic. I have a 100 miler in Tennessee next weekend. And then 2 weeks later, I have one here in Houston.
Oh my gosh.
And then 3 weeks later is one that I've done every year over New Year's called Snowdrop. And it's a fixed timed 55-hour race it's near and dear to my heart. And I don't know how my body, has I don't know if it just doesn't recognize that I need the recovery. I do take a few days off to sleep and rest, but it's kind of like rest and then do some more buildup and then taper and then you're doing another race. So the cycle so far has been working for me. My body hasn't told me to quite stop yet. I'll definitely listen to it when it does, but for now, if I'm able to do it and it fits into my very chaotic schedule, I'll continue to do it.
So when you get into these, are you shooting for a certain time? Are you shooting I want to run this much of the race and I want to walk this much of it? What is your mindset going into them?
I am kind of a let's wing it and see what happens person. I go in seeing how I feel. I definitely the beginning, I just kind of feel it out, how my body is feeling, how the course is. I'm very accident prone. I trip and fall all
Oh,
the time on
really?
courses. Yes. My last race, I did bust open my knee and a leg and only made it halfway through, but I had a good time. So yeah, I really just don't, it just, I don't know.
Yeah, so I was going to ask another question. I think I probably already know the answer to this, but some people set goals for what they want to get out of endurance and races. One guy I interviewed showed me his sticky note that he started at the beginning of the year. I'm going to do this and I want to accomplish that and this. I'm going to bet you don't have a sticky note with annual goals or what races that you want to do.
No, I have, set some small goals with certain races, like, oh, I think I could finish it in this time. But then something happens, like my main goal is to have fun and finish. So
Have
if
fun and
I end
finish.
up syncing up with someone that I'm vibing with and having a good time,
Hmm.
maybe they're going a little slower than I want to, but I know I'm going to finish, I'll hang out with them. Vol State, I kind of had a goal in my head. I could finish in under a week. And then after the first day, I was like, I could finish this in 6 days. And then teamed up with these people, and I was like, man, this is the experience I want to have. I want to get the whole experience, go stop at all the Dollar Generals. I think we took a nap on the side of every Dollar General we stopped at.
Life goals right there.
High school's right there. Concrete is very comfortable. So
Hmm.
that I have a friend Chris, I always tell him my goal for a race, and he's like, but there's a fine line between that and you just, I'm gonna have fun and enjoy myself. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, because if you're not having fun and enjoying yourself, like, what am I doing? I'll go find something else I'm going to have fun and enjoy. But so far,
It,
I haven't.
is that how you have done life before endurance, or is that a way of being that endurance taught you?
I think that's what endurance taught me for
Oh, really?
sure.
That's interesting.
I mean, I've always been a very outgoing and kind of bubbly, having fun person, but it's just a whole different type of fun that, like, a lot of people won't say running 100 miles is not fun, but to me it is. I make it a whole experience. I want to be there the day before and hang out with everybody. I want to be on the course almost the whole entire time, and I want to finish and hang out with everybody. I want the whole entire weekend
Hmm.
just to be the whole experience.
So what do you think the next 10 years looks like without, I'm not pushing you to set goals or anything unrealistic, but what do you want to get out of endurance?
I just want to keep exploring and seeing, like, the country. I haven't really been out of the US, so I'd like to just see the is a different perspective getting to see the world on foot, I feel like, than, I've driven from Texas to California and back several times. I drove up to Tennessee for my race. I love driving and road trips, but getting to see it on foot and experience it that way and is just it's a whole different way of life. There's some Caminos out in Europe and Spain that I'd like to go and just walk for days and days and days and get to experience life and people and the culture that way.
What do you think it is about that experience that resonates so much with you?
I don't know. I've always felt nature and the outdoors is very therapeutic to me. I grew up camping and just being outside, and I just feel like that's when I feel most at peace and calm and where I could be myself. So just being outside and meeting the people that also like to be outside and that's part of their life is very been very meaningful to me.
So, yeah, you just alluded something there about experiences growing up. Were you around anyone that was, maybe it was an athlete or someone that you saw working really hard? I'm just wondering where you made any connection with your growing up years to make these kind of things make sense.
Probably with my siblings. I was, I'm the average or below average athlete in the family, but I have my older sister is a soccer player. She played all 4 years at a D1 college and ended up coaching there. I have a brother who swam at LSU. I have another brother that was an amazing soccer player in high school and opted for education over playing in college. So watching all of them work hard through school and like accomplish these amazing things. Like I have a brother who set a national swimming record at at 12 or 14 after only swimming for
Golly.
2 years. So it's really cool watching them work hard for this
Yeah.
stuff. And my parents are both amazing athletes as well. My dad was a swimmer and a rugby player, and my mom was a volleyball player. So just having all of that in life and watching them has been very, very neat.
You said something there though that is interesting to me, that you were the below average. I and I think for any of us that when the way we see ourselves many times is what we're comparing to. Comparison many times is the
Like
thief of
the
joy.
joy. Mhm.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you had to compare yourself against siblings that were elite at the less than the 0.1% of their field. So you're below average. It's probably above average for just about everybody else, but because of who you were comparing it to, it didn't seem that way. But was that uh, implicit in the family system that, oh, Lisa's not at the level that everybody else is, or was that again maybe part of the head trash that just kind of accumulated over time?
Definitely the head trash. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm never told that, oh, you're not, you're not as good as the rest of your siblings. Like I had my
yeah.
own different things that I like to do as well besides all the sports that they did. I was, I was a creative kind of out there child. I don't know, maybe the black sheep of the family doing marching to the beat of my own drum, but I think just, trying to compare myself to my siblings growing up like was made me feel a little less than.
That's tough. Oh my gosh, yeah. How many siblings do you have?
I'm like smack dab in the middle. I have two older sisters and two younger brothers.
Okay, so you're the lost child, the
Yeah,
forgotten one,
the
right?
forgotten little child.
Yes. Yeah. I really love, not love. I'm very interested in kind of family dynamics and especially birth order. It is crazy to me how universal birth order behavior plays out, and especially in bigger families. And so, you came from a big family, very, very easy to kind of get, for you being in the middle, to get swallowed up in everybody else's activity. What was the age difference between you guys?
Well, my oldest sister is a half sister, so she's a lot older than I am. I think maybe about like 25 years. But then
Mhm.
my other sister and I are only like 21 months apart. And then my brothers are a little younger. I think my youngest brother is maybe 8 years younger than me.
Okay. So other than the oldest, is somewhat close enough that you guys were around each other a lot, doing a lot of the same things. Any of these elite athletes doing what you're doing?
No,
Yeah, there you go. Take that, siblings.
right?
Yeah.
I
So
can talk them into doing some. I've had a couple of them join me on some races when I was first starting out. So that's been
Really?
nice. Yeah.
Do they just not have any, it's not interesting to them, or why don't you think they're following in your footsteps?
Oh, I think just busy with, marriage and kids
Yeah,
and
so
that
that's
life.
very easy.
They just don't have time.
Yeah. Do they live close to you? Do you get to see them very often?
Not very often. My sister's in Colorado, which is nice to go visit. I went there last summer and did some hiking. I do have one brother that's about 3 hours away, kind of near the San Antonio area. And then my youngest brother is actually about to move to Ohio, but right now
Hmm,
he's down South Texas in Corpus.
gotcha. And did you say earlier you have one of your sisters is in Tennessee?
Yes, my half sister's in Tennessee.
Gotcha.
So that's nice. She's kind of close to Chattanooga, so that was nice to go stay
Yeah.
with her after.
Some very pretty outdoor areas around there also. What, tell me a little bit about the races that you have coming up. You mentioned a couple in the next month, but are there any in the next year or so that stand out as either have you nervous or that you're really excited about?
Well, Snowdrop is always one I'm very.
You mentioned that one a couple times, and I remember Vincent said, "Where is that?"
So it is in the Houston area. It's in a town called Missouri City, which is like South Houston. It's a 55-hour race, which I know is a very unique time and it does have a meaning, but it raises money for pediatric cancer. So that's been
Oh, cool.
very, very near and dear. They have what's unique about it, instead of just donating to like a hospital or something, they have a scholarship program to pediatric cancer patients and survivors to go to college because cancer is very expensive. And yeah, it's
Now, do you
55.
raise money for doing that? Like you get sponsorships for the number of hours that you stay out there?
Not well, you can raise money. You can also, through your fundraising page, people can donate like a pledge per lap, because
Hmm.
what makes this race unique is the looped course, 0.69.
Oh, are you serious?
Mhm.
Point
So it's
six nine.
0.69. So if you want 100 miles, you have to do 145 laps.
Oh my gosh.
So it's very mentally tough that way, because the sometimes you've like, man, I've done like 3 loops and I'm barely over a mile. I've barely done a mile. And last year, I think my goal was to get to about 125, or yeah, 125 miles. And because of that weird distance, my official time was 124.97.
Oh my gosh.
But it's an amazing event, again, that raises money for cancer, and you get to see so many. I love the looped courses like that too, of
Do you
as
really?
yeah, because you
I've
get, especially before I lost weight, because I never got to be with people. So this
mm,
race, you're constantly seeing people the whole entire time. You're constantly back, like at they call it tent city, where everybody sets up their canopies for the weekend. And so yeah, you're always with people. You never feel alone. You're always, hanging out, like eating food. They feed you there. It's just a really amazing event. So I've done it. I've been a part of it some form for the past 10 years. And I've participated as a solo participant. I think this will be my 8th year.
wow. How many people do it?
Whew, there's a good handful. They do have a cutoff. I'm not sure what the exact number is, and they do have relays out there, so those add
Okay.
up. Solo runners, I think, normally are around, I think maybe 150 solo runners.
On a 0.6 mile loop. That's a lot of
0.69
people.
mile loop. It might be less than that. They used to have it at a different location where they could have more people, but
Yeah.
it's very unique. And then there's another local race. It's also a timed race I do every year. It's called Jackalope Jam, and it goes up to 100 hours, which of course that's the distance I do. And they have a rucking division, and that's something that I've also kind of fallen in love with the last couple of years. So the last 2 years, I've rucked the 100-hour out at Jackalope Jam and kind of pushed myself as far as I could go. I'd wear a 30-pound weight vest for 100
Mm,
hours, see how many miles I can do. So that's always
wow.
been a fun challenge of mine, and adding the weights, making it harder, has been a unique challenge for me.
How do you talk to me a little bit about your approach to nutrition in these longer races. Do you have a game plan going into it? Some people are like, every hour I'm going to do this, every 2 hours I'm going to do this. What is that like for you?
It's a little unique for me. I'm not able to eat as much as I have in the past, and that's kind of been a challenge. I can't like some people could just sit at an aid station and just like shove food in their face. I don't really have a set like I'm going to do this many calories every hour.
Mhm.
I try to make sure that I'm just staying up mostly on my hydration and electrolytes for
Uh-huh.
one, and just eating as much as I can. Or if I'm at an aid station, I put things in my vest to like eat along the way. Like I have to just kind of maybe every 20, 30 minutes make sure I'm taking a bite of something as I'm moving. But sometimes depending on the course, I forget because I'm concentrating on not tripping and,
Mhm.
breaking something. So that becomes a challenge for me, and I end up finishing the race with more food in my pack than I probably put in my body.
Uh,
That's definitely been a challenge for me. Something that's probably been my main thing I've been trying to work on lately is being able to fuel myself during the races. I have no problem before and after, but during has been
mm,
very difficult for me.
yeah. Are there, maybe not on your schedule, but is there a race that you would really like that kind of gives you a little bit of nerves thinking about trying to pull off?
Well, I think Vincent mentioned it on his podcast. The other sister race of Vol State that's called
Mm.
HOTS or Heart of the South. That one, you don't know where you're starting or what the route is until 12 hours before it starts.
Oh, so that's more similar to Barclay than Vol
Yeah,
State is. Okay.
and it's been different every year. The distance has been different every year, so that kind of gives me nerves. Like with Vol State, I could at least look at the map weeks and months before. I can kind of
Yeah.
plan out maybe like where there's a hotel where I could stop at. And during HOTS, like you have no clue. But
Is
it
it in
also
the general area?
it ends at the same place.
Okay.
But I mean, you could come, I mean, that place where we end Vol State is like kind of on the corner of like Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama.
Mm.
So you can come from anywhere and
Yeah.
finish that race. I think this year it started in Illinois and then ended there at Castle Rock. In the past, I think it started in Florida one year. Like they pretty much tell you the distance. Like this year it's going to be 350 miles. So people will pinpoint the finish and do like a
A
circle of
radius,
300,
yeah.
a radius, and try to determine where it's going. And Laz in his mastermind, he's been posting little clues about the course and where it might start, and just his little mastermind with these things. So that one kind of intrigues me doing that.
Is that also, does he do that one in the summer?
Yes, that one's in June.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of hard. A lot of people that do these long journey races, like they're retired, they're older. Like I've definitely in the younger demographic. Most people are a lot older or could do that, or they're teachers and they have the summer off, which is amazing. I've even looked into switching up career and
Mm.
maybe getting into teaching something so I could have more the summer off to do some
Yeah.
of these. I have been looking into different options of
Yeah.
having a
Making
different
life work
schedule,
for you.
making my life work for me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's cool. But it sounds like a lot of them, especially if you're doing them on the weekends, you're trying to hit stuff that's close to you and then maybe every now and then do something that's a little further away.
Yeah, I try to maybe just once or twice a year get out of the state. This year, I think next weekend will be maybe my second time getting out of the state this year. So most of them have been in Texas, but I am wanting to just to branch out and see what else is out there. I think I've seen a lot of Texas. I want to see some more of the states.
Have you done anything at elevation before?
I have, well, Mount St. Helens was a little bit, but nothing like really, really up there. So I'm kind of, we'll see how this one in Tennessee goes. I think it has a little more climbing than I'm used to.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I think I'll be okay. But most of it's been pretty flat. El Paso is actually kind of higher. Most people don't know that. I think it's
Hmm.
about 6,000, which isn't too much elevation, but some people that have gone to El Paso from Houston, where like my house sits at 30 feet above sea level. And then
I
they
did not
go
realize
to,
El Paso was at 6,000 feet.
yeah, I think parts of it I think parts of it's 7,000. I think the peak of North Franklin Peak is about 8 or 9,000.
Oh
So,
my gosh. No, I had
yeah.
no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
Mount Mitchell in North Carolina in Tennessee has, a high peak in that general area. I may get this wrong, but I want to say it's in the 5 or 6,000 range, maybe less than that. But I for some reason think El Paso is flat.
No, actually the very tip of the Rocky Mountains and
How
in
about
El
that?
Paso. Oh,
Yeah,
and it's very beautiful, believe it or not. It's one of my favorite cities.
that's cool. Now we're in Colorado. You mentioned your sister lives there. Is she up in the mountains?
She's in Thornton, which is close to Denver. So, but they travel all the time. When I went and visited her, I went up to the Springs for the first time to
Mhm.
do like the Manitou Incline, and I
Oh
did
yeah.
did a sunrise hike with some friends out at Mount Muskoka. I think that's what it's called. A really
Okay.
cool little. The locals said it was great, so I was like, I'm gonna do the touristy thing later at the incline. Let's do something that the locals want to do before that. So
Yeah.
that was a fun trip.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you've really built a life around saying yes to adventure, whatever form and shape that looks like. How how would you describe your life now compared to Lisa before getting into endurance?
I think I was just again more in my head and self-conscious about going out and doing things. I think I was just scared maybe and let talk to myself into like, oh, I can't do that. It's not the right time. I don't have enough money. And just kind of let all that hold myself back and probably had some regrets of not going and doing things right
Mm.
then and there. So now I'm like, I don't want to have any regrets in life. Life is
Yeah,
too
making
short.
up for lost time.
Making up for last time. Again, that's probably why I'm doing something every month or trying to just to keep busy and keep exploring and keep trying to see what's out there and trying to I'm trying to see what that limit is now of where I can push myself. Like
Mm.
Ball State was 314 miles. I felt great after it. So I'm trying to see like I have a friend that's trying to challenge me to go across Texas now.
Mm.
Maybe that might be something in the future to do is
It's
to
a
do
big
the
state.
it is a very big state.
That's cool. Yeah, and what you just said is actually something I've heard commonly in more recent conversations about finding out where we measure that these endurance feats are a good measuring stick about what am I really made out of. I thought I could do this, but can I really go a little bit further and do something different? And you don't know unless you push yourself. And it so you've been this is a very encouraging conversation, I think, for anybody that's going to listen to hear your story from zero going and really not doing a whole lot that is active to hundreds of miles at a time, and you can't get enough of it. Like it just more and more and more. It definitely sounds like the motor in your body has shifted gears, and that's really cool. I appreciate you going through that with us.
Thank you.
So to wrap us up, it's hard to believe we've been talking for almost an hour at this
Mhm.
point. Flies by when you talk about fun things. But what would you kind of wrap us up here and say a little bit about what you see coming down the pike, not just races, but for your future self about what you plan to get out of endurance?
Whew, just working on my I've had a big transformation physically, but I think the transformation I've had mentally over the last few years have definitely helped. It's made me I've felt, I guess, stuck lately. Like I've been stuck at the same career, I've been stuck in the same
Mm,
town, I've been like just settled, I guess you can say. So now I've really felt inspired and motivated to like what else is out there. I want to, I'm
that's awesome.
working to go back to school and kind of figured out through actually doing these races and making these connections, I kind of think I've found my calling, which I really think I'd like to be in counseling or therapy
Mm,
and do like a walking therapy because I've found if you're walking side by side with people, it's easier to open up and talk that way than sitting across from somebody like in a doctor's office talking
That's
about
so
whatever.
good. Yeah.
So, I've been working on that, and then I'm like, "Well, I kind of Houston's not the greatest place to go walk outside and talk because the weather here is horrible." So I've kind of been exploring, like, I keep getting drawn to Tennessee, like, maybe I just wanna just up and move and just start fresh. So I feel like all of this has really just made me feel more confident and just not settling and just going and doing and just making life happen.
I bet you never would have expected that when you first started it.
No, definitely not, and just meeting the people that are encouraging and telling me like, "Yeah, I've been telling everybody I wanna do this." Like, "Yes, go, do it, like, we'll be here to support you. I would hate to see you move away, but go do and be what makes you happy, and I'll come visit."
That is awesome. And I think a great way to tie this up and summarize your whole journey and where it's brought you and what it has given you. I think that is such a great takeaway for any of us to why do we do these things, whatever the hard thing that we choose. If we can come out of it with a little more confidence in the things that we do in our everyday lives, that is worth the price of admission.
Absolutely.
So very good. Thank you for your time, Lisa. This has been excellent. And I look forward to hearing down the road all the other 100-mile races that you get yourself through.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the On Adventure podcast. Be on the lookout for another episode dropping in a couple weeks. And be sure to go to our YouTube page and subscribe and follow us there, as well as on all the socials from Facebook to Instagram and LinkedIn. Until our next episode, I hope you stay safe and stay on adventure.